Living in God's will is really, really hard. Is Lindy. I'm an aspiring marketing manager, content creator. I am a best appointment by day, and I am a Jesus Warrior 365. Welcome to the Ultimate Remake. All right, guys. So this is the Bible Study Wednesday, and this one is going to be a little bit different than the one that I did last week. So last week I did the particular verse that I wanted to do, and I kind of just did a devotion on it, a little bit of a study of the Bible. But today I'm going to do something that's a little bit different. It's going to be a testimony of mine. And that is what I was talking about in 2 videos ago, I think, when I was talking about how there were a lot of changes that were happening in my life. So to those of you that don't know, 2 weeks ago, I put in my 1 month's notice and I resigned from my current job. I have a very, very lean backup plan at this point in time, but I can say I don't have a job that I'm going to. I have my reasons as to why I'm leaving that particular job, namely toxic environment, as well as just no longer feeling like that is my place, or it is it's the end of a season for me. That's purely what it is for me at this point in time. I wanted to talk about why I feel like I want to talk about Jesus the way that I do, talk about the gospel the way that I do. So first and foremost, I was raised in I wouldn't say my household, my parents are very Christian, but I went to Christian schools from the age of 3. Every school I've ever been to, namely from primary to high school, has always had a very strong Christian ethos, and that's just who I am. I gave my life to Jesus in grade 2. Yes, I remember, because I remember it from Noah's Ark. I will never forget that. And I think we actually did a play on Noah's Ark in grade 2 or something like that. But I just remember Noah's Ark. I remember giving my life to Jesus, and that's it. That's how I've always been a Christian. My parents aren't necessarily Christian. My late father wasn't necessarily a Christian. He believed in God. I think he was more agnostic than anything else. And my mom, she believes, but she doesn't practice her faith as much as one would hope. But then I kind of finished school, kind of tried the whole full-time university thing, dropped out of that, and from there I went into I worked for a church that I had been part of from very young, from like early high school, and I was with them right through high school. And I was the youth coordinator for about 4 years there, and it was great and I loved it. But just like where I currently am now, my season at that place had come to an end. And I look back at that and I realize how much more blessed I felt back then, being like, yeah, this is my season has come to an end than I do right now. Right now, I've dealt with a lot more things than I had to deal with at my previous job. At this current job, I've had multiple mental breakdowns. I've been admitted into a psychiatric hospital. Yeah, just corporate is not for me. I'm not a corporate girly, and I never will be a corporate girly, I don't think. I think I thrive in a more loose environment, which is probably why I couldn't stand school. Like, I hated school. Like, it gives me hives thinking about it. It just gives me hives. But yeah, that's basically my story in a nutshell. If you guys want to hear more about like my Christian journey, my life, and as a believer, I am happy to share it. But I particularly just want to share the parts of my life where I am right now. And right now I'm at a position where I don't have a job that I'm going to, but I definitely have a job that I'm leaving. And it has been something that I've been struggling with for a very long time, for a solid year or so. Just deciding whether or not this is really what God was calling me to do. And trust me when I say God confirmed it multiple times that it was time for me to move on. But I chose not to. And so it's just been a was it a tug of war between humanly common sense and godly sense. And so, yeah, at the beginning of this year, I started the year off in proper prayer, and I have been fasting and praying, and eventually I came to the decision literally on the 27th of February. I was like, this is definitely it. This is what I'm going to be doing. For that whole week, I'd kind of been like, I'm going to resign. I had my letter drafted from like last year. Like, I drafted my resignation letter last year, but I fine-tuned it on the 27th. I went into work on the 28th, and when I left for the day, I handed in my resignation, and I am now in my 3rd week of notice. Next week is my last week at this job, and like I said, I have no backup plan. I don't know where I'm going, but what I do know is that God does, and that God is providing for me in ways that I could never understand, and He will continue to provide for me in ways that I can't understand. So, like, for example, in Jeremiah 29:11, it says, "For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord." Now, that is something that we often just say out of like, oh, for God knows the plans He has for me, plans for good and for me to prosper. But do we really believe that first part where I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord? He doesn't just be like, I know the plans I have for you, but He declares it, which means it's an intentional statement that He has. And so that's where I'm standing now, where I know the plans He has for me. And He's declaring that He has plans for me, and He knows what's happening for me. And I just need to simply trust Him. I've never, ever resigned from a job knowing that I'm going to another job. Ever. Every time I've resigned from a job, I had no idea what was next. My first job, I resigned. 2 months later, I started working for the church. When I stopped working for the church, I resigned. I had no idea what I was going to do. A month later, my mom helped me get some casual work here and there. And 3 months later, I started working for my previous company. I have never, ever, ever worked from one job to another. That has never been who I am. God has always provided for me. And so that's the thing that has really pushed me to where I am now. And it just goes to speak in Proverbs, where it says, trust the Lord your God with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. And that is something that I've really that's something that I've really had to wrestle with, is that I don't understand what I'm going through right now, but God does. And so because God knows what I'm going through, because God knows what I'm capable of and where I can be, I need to be the one who trusts Him fully, wholeheartedly with that. That's exactly what I am doing. So I'm calling you guys to join me. I'm going to be documenting my journey to finding myself. And like I said, I'm an aspiring marketing manager. So I have qualifications in marketing management, but I've never pursued it, and it's always been something that I've been passionate about and enjoyed, but I've never pursued it because I don't know, I just never had confidence in myself in that way. I've done freelancing here and there, but please follow me on this journey, subscribe so that you can hear more and you can see how I go from the girl who resigned and left her job with no plan B. I don't even have plan A at this point. Plan A was to be at the job, but plan A failed. So now I've got to have plan B, but I don't have plan B. So, you know what I mean? So please join me, and you can come and tag along on this journey as I try and figure out what it is that I want for my life. And at the same time, you can follow me on all my social media platforms. And if you want to hear more from me, hit that subscribe button. Press that notification bell and be notified every time I upload. But until then, go look at some of my other videos. Go have a look at them. Enjoy, and until the next time, bye.